Numbers are the universal language. Is a lie that countless people say. If you look hard enough, yeah, you can probably find math in everything, but that's not what I'm on about. The statement that says numbers are the universal language means that everything, no matter what, is grounded by numbers. Everything you can want, see, think about, can comprehend is all boiled down to numbers, and to me, that is completely and utterly incorrect. My name is Kiyan Oueijan. I'm a proud cancer survivor, and I want my story to be known. As you may have seen some cancer survivor stories on the internet recounting the battle against the illness, my story is a little bit different. I'll be discussing not only the battle, but the aftermath of my illness. The scarier part of the diagnosis was a mortality rate of 20%, for my specific stage at least. And as a parent, that might be one of the worst things you could ever hear. So I'd like to take a moment of your time to talk about two incredible people. My mother, by far the strongest woman I know. She's cunning, smart, and lets my sister get away with way too many things. And my father, although he couldn't make it here today because of flight problems from Qatar, he should be seeing this broadcast on YouTube. I'd like to take a moment to talk about him as well. Dad, you are one of the most forgiving people I know. You're so caring, and I couldn't live without my parents. Literally and figuratively. So massive, massive round of applause for them. But as I was saying, this illness required immediate treatment before transition to an even worse stage. So I had to undergo chemotherapy. If you're unaware about what chemo is, chemotherapy is the use of drugs to limit cancer cells from dividing and growing. However, it has a natural side effect of harming healthy cells, including the immune system, leaving me immunocompromised at age 2. Many of you also may be familiar with the hair loss side effect of chemotherapy. Around 65% of all chemotherapy patients lose their hair in one way or another. But I underwent 2 years of heavy chemotherapy dosage, and, well, I still have my hair, and by age 4, I walked out of that hospital cancer-free. This is exactly why numbers are not the universal language. If everything were based around numbers, then I would have suffered more. The stress that my parents and doctors had underwent trying to keep me alive, trying to keep me breathing, could have all been calculated. But I beat that 65% chance of losing my hair. And more importantly, I beat that 20% mortality rate. And I'm proudly standing on this stage telling you this story because they never listen to the numbers. I'm proudly standing on this stage because they never relied on the statistics to judge my future. And I'm proudly standing on this stage with a full head of hair telling you to never rely on these numbers and never judge the future based on statistics. Never judge yourself nor others based on statistics. Never put yourself down because of a low test grade, or never view yourself better because of an A. Never dictate your entire life because of a number on a paycheck. Because in reality, these numbers should not dictate your life, and these numbers should not bring you down. But I made a promise to you in the beginning of my talk. I was going to mention the aftermath of my illness and how it affects me to this day. Because I was forced to stay in that hospital from age 2 to 4, I lost critical years of social development. And if anything, that was worse than the illness itself. Those lost years of social development led to me not making many friends for years. I gained a lot of weight out of eating to fill that void of social interaction, filling that void with food. And it caused a lot of troubles for me, from bullying to feelings of body dysmorphia. Flashback to a few years ago, late 2019, one of the worst periods of my life. My anxiety reached its peak, and I turned to very destructive actions of self-harm, and contemplating suicide. This is the weakest moment of my life, because I couldn't predict it. I couldn't predict myself. The mind is too powerful. It transcends numbers. Emotions transcend numbers. Feelings transcend numbers, and my condition transcended them too. Luckily, thanks to a brilliant bunch of people, I was able to get therapy, and for around a year, I had to go through therapy weekly. And I came out more self-sufficient than I ever was. And I'd also taken better care of myself. I'd lost a lot of weight, started caring about my diet, started exercising, started weightlifting this September. And I dropped my body fat percentage from 23% at its peak. This is near the body fat percentage that considers someone as obese, to 14% today. The reason I told these stories is because one could have been predicted through numbers, and the other couldn't. I'd like you to treat this speech as more of a precautionary step, for you to never, never be reliant on these numbers, because they cause too much pain. They instill thoughts of negative possibilities in your mind of what's to come in the future. They'll strike you down in situations where you can't reliably predict or assume an outcome. You can't fall back on numbers all the time. It will leave you stressed, desperately trying to find a solution, trying to fall back on numbers when you can't. But as I said before, I'm on this stage, standing on my own 2 feet, proud. Proud that I'd survived those challenges, proud that I came out stronger. Proud because I'm standing on this stage, scarred physically and mentally, showing you that I had lived through cancer, lived through that period of mental ruts, and lived on to pass this knowledge to you. Thank you so much.